Today's video, we're going to be checking out the McFarlane Toys movie Maniacs Series 2. This is Eric Draven, the Crow. Let's go ahead and take the tape measure to figure out how tall Eric Draven is. The figure is about, maybe just a little over, 7 inches in height. You guys are probably no strangers to this. This is the McFarlane Toys Movie Maniacs display stand. It's the same stand that was used for Series 1 and Series 2 and features in this instance the poster of the Crow inside. The Crow is within my top 5 favorite movies of all time. I could go back and watch The Crow any day of the week and I would still love it as much as when I first saw the movie. So the poster itself says "Believe in Angels," and you've got Crow down below, and wrapped, encasing the poster is these various spinal cords, bones, and skulls the McFarlane Toys would incorporate to their stands. Still like these stands as much as I liked them back in the day. I kind of wish that, you know, McFarlane Toys would do another movie Maniacs line. I don't know why they haven't, and kind of bring these back just for more nostalgicness than anything else. Eric Draven also comes with a stand, which is one of the few instances in which Movie Maniacs figure has come with his own display stand. Let me tell you one thing I have problem-wise with the stand itself. It allows for Eric Draven to walk forward. As you can see, one foot is slightly posed back. So the figure's stand is actually connecting the foot on the front. There's the, don't believe me, there's the peg hole on the underside there. Ultimately, though, because the peg hole is on the first foot and not on the back foot, you sometimes make it almost kind of looks as if the figure is leaning sometimes too far forward. I think what they should have actually done was put the peg hole on the back side of the foot. So, like, theoretically, you can imagine what's happening here. If the foot was pegged this way, this foot, not this foot, I think you would have a more natural stance, as if Crow's walking or Eric Draven's walking towards you, and then you could have rested it more so on this peg point and rather than this one here. But ultimately this one does not come with a peg hole, so you have to peg it on the front, and it just attaches like so. It's actually a decent enough display stand. I may actually use it for maybe some of my future reviews. It's a nice thin stand. It's a little bit of glue at the bottom there, but other than that, it's a pretty good looking stand. Eric Draven comes with a couple of other accessories, one of which being his guitar. Guitar has some silver painted in on the strings, and the little tuning, I'm not really sure what the term is for those, but little tuning prongs on the end, and whammy bar and all that stuff, all painted in silver, so at least it's not just a black guitar. You can have it just draped over his head. I find it easier to run it up his arm and then just drape it. You can either have it this way, or I kind of like it draped actually from the back, so the guitar is kind of just, because from the front, it actually gives it just that little extra sense of depth by having the guitar kind of leaning out from the behind there. The interior, by the way, of the guitar is slightly curved, just to kind of help conform to the shape of, say, the leg or the torso in which he's got it draped against him. The other thing, of course, that you would have to come included with is his crow. If he didn't come with the crow, I would feel almost robbed. But he does come with his little crow buddy. I don't know why the eye bothers me as much as it does. The eye should really just be all black, but I guess they did this so you can actually make out the eye. It doesn't read as much crow to me as it does like almost like raven, or it doesn't really look even sometimes like a crow. It kind of looks like a snake or a reptile. I don't know. I don't know where my brain's going with this, but it's got a little bit of yellow on the wing. Like the crow does, I don't know. Am I the only one who sees it? The crow seems off. I think it's the fact that the beak goes that far up the head that it looks like the head is just part of the beak. Maybe that's what, I don't know. Anyways, he does have peg holes on the undersides right there of his talons. Don't nearly use the word talons enough in these reviews. And then he's got peg holes on the back sides of his torso, and the crow just kind of plugs into that. It's not the most secure of fits, but it does stay in there. Also could have had it so that perhaps the arm could have come up, and maybe there could have been a peg hole or something there where the crow could have, I don't know, attached. Not really any other place where you can attach it other than really just the arm, the shoulder area there. At least he does come with his crow. Okay, so let's talk about the figure. First thing I love about this figure is the pose that they've got him in. I have Hot Toys, the Hot Toys Eric Draven 1/6 scale figure, and I feel like almost from the pose and what this figure does better, I think this is almost a nicer looking figure, even though the bigger figure, of course, has the clothing and stuff like that. But I don't like the head sculpt on the Hot Toys Eric Draven. I may have mentioned it at the time that I did the review, and I do want to go back and re-review that guy. I probably will mention it in that video too, but I do like the face sculpt, all things considered. Even though this is an older figure, I think it's actually a really good likeness. Is it 100%? Absolutely not. Of course, we have to live in reality here, but the face sculpt is actually really good. The eyes are painted in there, and he's got a very pristine white makeup. It's kind of near the beginning. Well, actually, that's not 100% true. The paint is very pristine, although the rips and everything else indicated on his outfit would lend itself to believe that this figure is a little bit later into the movie. So the makeup probably shouldn't be as pristine as it is, but we kind of have to overlook that. The strands on the hair is nice. The length of the hair is nice, and I like the fact that the hair is straight. Something else I didn't like about the Hot Toys. But a good overall, pretty good head sculpt, all things considered. His pose is so iconic. In fact, it's the same pose that's on the poster, where he's opening up, I think, the cathedral, and he's walking through. It's such an iconic look. This is the look I've been trying to get that Eric Draven 6-scale figure into, and I just can't nail it as well as this here. So I do really like the pose. Move this out of the way. Paint, as you could probably guess it, is primarily black, although it's a nice mix of matte black, primarily in the arms and the torso of his shirt. And then he's got the taped up areas around his wrists, his arms, torso, and then he's got the sheen of his leather pants. It's not 100% perfect. I don't want you to think that I'm completely overlooking the little shortcomings here and there. The biggest one being the hands. The hands look like mummified hands. And then on top of that, you've got the problem that some of the areas in which that were supposed to be bandaged have just been left off paint altogether. Ultimately, they just painted some of the areas and left other areas out. But it's one of the big problems I have with some of the older McFarlane stuff is hands. They make their hands look so old, so decrepit, that they look like mummies' hands. It's a small little gripe, but it almost does from a distance look like he's wearing gloves. The rest of the body is actually pretty good. Again, you got the boots nicely painted in there with a little bit of dirt. Stitch work in there is nicely done as well. Love the arch of the feet. That is like one of my all-time favorite things about this particular figure. One of the reasons why also I wanted to go back and have a look at this figure. He's got the proper proportions, if you ask me, of the torso, the legs, proper thinness of the arms. Yeah, everything about this particular figure I think is done exceptionally well. I might even take this figure and kind of take it to the Hot Toys one I was just discussing and kind of use this as my guideline for trying to get him in that same similar pose. I can't do it. I have to just kind of go back and keep playing around with it until I can actually get a nice pose in the position that I want this guy to be in. In the meantime, let's talk about this guy's posability. I keep going back to the Hot Toys, which I really don't want to, because that's not really what we're talking about here. Head rotates all the way around. Arms rotate all the way around. You got the swivel in the hands. No apparent waist swivel. And then awkwardly, they've given him leg posability. I say awkwardly because if you move the legs too close together, then they just butt up against one another. If you move the leg too forward out, well, it looks like his foot obviously is curving out to the side. So it really, this is one thing I've mentioned before with McFarlane's stuff, is if articulation is kind of predetermined because of the way the sculpt is, I would almost you just decide not to include posability whatsoever, because if a figure is supposed to stand, say for example, like this, if that's how Eric Draven is supposed to look, and that's how they want you to display him, why even go through all the efforts to put posability in there? Because anything after the fact, anything that they don't want you to pose him like, he's just going to look ridiculous. So I don't know why even incorporate that. Rounding out the rest of it, by the way, he has absolutely no posability in the feet. Again, does that really necessarily bother me? I would say no. All these older figures that we look at on this channel show a little bit of rust. Some a little bit better than others. Some of them I find still hold up well today. Of the majority of the movie Maniac figures, funny enough, one of the ones I think still stand out as a good figure and doesn't really feel all that old is Eric Draven's Crow. Sure, again, sculpts on, for example, the Crow itself look a little rough. I do generally like the pose on this particular guy, and I think overall he just turned out nice. I still, of course, can't overlook things such as the hands. The hands, the hands, the hands. That will still be something that's going to plague this particular toy line from still looking current, is the sculpted hands. Sometimes they just look mummified. They look like gloved hands. If you can overlook that end of it, Eric Draven's a really nice looking figure. Could he have been done a little bit better? I think so. But in all honesty, I think he looks a little bit better in some instances than some of the stuff that we got in the Cult Classics line from NECA Toys. Pick this guy up. He's actually a fairly affordable figure nowadays to pick up if you guys are looking to get this guy on eBay, for example. You probably pay about $10 to $12 for this guy. Today, though, we were having a look at one of my all-time favorite movies within my top 5. We're looking today at the McFarlane Toys Movie Maniacs Series 2, Eric Draven from The Crow. If you guys haven't already had a chance to hit that little subscribe button down below, make sure you do so, as of course more videos just like this, maybe not more Crow videos, but videos similar like this, will be coming up onto this channel, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.